Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my backyard. I'm going to take you through a beginner morning yoga sequence. No props are required, and we're just going to start right away lying down on our backs in Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined butterfly pose. So making your way down here, you want to shrug your shoulders away from your ears. Bring the soles of your feet together to touch and let your knees fall apart. If this is too much for your hips and just feels like it's a little painful and uncomfortable, instead you're welcome to just bring your feet wide and let your knees fall in towards one another. So while this is a beginner yoga class, and I will try to keep the poses simple and accessible, that doesn't mean that they won't necessarily be a little bit challenging. We still want to focus on building a little bit of strength, on increasing flexibility. But more than anything, this morning yoga class is meant to help you set the tone for the day ahead and to start to develop mindfulness and full body awareness. So take 5 more deep breaths here, in and out through your nose. Maybe asking yourself what your intention is for the day ahead. One more deep breath. And let's bring our knees in towards one another. Draw them into your belly. Give it a big squeeze. And we'll take a little spinal twist here. So just let your knees and thighs drop over to the left and stretch your right arm out to the side. So as if you're trying to pull your right shoulder and your right hip away from one another. Big breath in through the nose and lift, engage your belly a little to float up, and we'll just go twist to the other side. So your knees and thighs drop over to the right, left arm stretches out to the left. And I like to use my right hand to help kind of press the legs a little closer to the floor. So what is it that you need today? Maybe choosing one word that captures your intention. And float the knees back up. With your feet flat to the floor, you can tuck your chin to your chest, and we're gonna lift on up, taking a seat. And now bring your hands a little back behind you. I'm just going to shift back on my mat here, really tapping into the power of our core and into our abdominals. You can hold on to the back of your thighs and just rock back onto your sit bones here. Variation of Navasana boat pose. Roll your shoulders down and away from your ears and point your toes. See if you can lift so your right shin is parallel to the floor, and then tap it down and switch. So lifting the left shin and left foot and tapping it down. Keep going. We're going to do 5 on each side. What I want you to focus on here is that you're opening and lifting through your chest, not rounding or slouching forward. And if this feels relatively easy to you, you can always make it harder by reaching your arms out rather than holding onto the back of your thigh. Stay lifted. We'll do one more on each side, squeezing and lifting up. And once you finished here, come all the way up, soles of your feet together, knees apart. Grab a hold of your big toes with your 2 pinky fingers. So you're really holding onto your feet here. And you can choose whatever distance is appropriate for you with the legs. We're gonna do cat and cow from this position. So as you inhale, open up through your chest and think of squeezing your shoulder blades behind you. As you exhale, round and contract, bringing your chin to your chest. Just going in and out of those 2 poses. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, open and exhale. One more. Inhale, lift and exhale. Curl it in. Come all the way back through to center. And now let's go ahead and straighten our right leg in front of us and keep your left foot to the inside of that right thigh. As you inhale, stretch your arms up overhead and find some length in your spine. Try to maintain this length as you exhale and hinge forward from your hips. So especially in the morning, it's normal not to be going very far in this pose. And even for me, forward folds are just the hardest kinds of poses. Try to just think of lifting out of your lower back and digging into your fingertips, pushing into that right heel. Make this a passive forward fold now. As you soften your upper body, you can turn your palms to face up and just let gravity do the work for you. So no expectations, just whatever amount of the fold feels good for the back of your leg and through your spine. Push into your hands so you can start to walk and lift on up. And we'll take a little baby wild thing. So you can bring your left hand back behind you and you're gonna swing that right arm up and over as you lift your hips up towards the sky. And we're trying to press them up as high as they'll go. Take another big breath here. And now bring it all the way back. Lift your left knee up and we're gonna cross the left foot over the top of that right thigh. Coming into a little twist, you can hug your left thigh with your right arm and bring your left hand back behind you as you open up through your chest and rotate. Maybe looking over towards your left shoulder. Coming all the way back through to center. Let's shake it out. And we'll go and repeat on the other side. So Janu Shirshasana, head to knee. You're bringing your right foot to the inside of your left thigh. Really anchor down through your hips. Root to rise, stretch up tall, and then hinge at your hips. Focus first on this active, dynamic version where you're really contracting through your muscles, focusing on straightening your spine. A little bend in that left knee is totally fine. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Keep breathing deeply into your belly. And make this a passive forward fold, just letting your spine naturally round and folding on in. You can let your head dangle so your neck is relaxed. And And push into your hands as you lift back up. And we'll find that baby wild thing on the other side. So right hand goes back behind you for support, and you can swing that left arm up and back. Lift your hips up as high as they can go. So a bit of a back bend, but mainly focusing on stretching through the side of our body. And set your hips back down. We'll prepare for our twist. Lift your right knee up. And you can cross your right foot over the top of that left thigh. Lengthen up, and you can grab a hold of your right thigh with your left arm. Right hand goes back behind you. Rotate, maybe looking over your right shoulder. And let's release, facing forward. Cross out your ankles. We'll find our first downward facing dog. So you want your hands shoulder width distance apart. Walk your feet back. So I want my hands to be a little bit past my shoulders, not directly over the top. Feet are hip width distance apart as you tuck your toes under and lift your hips all the way up and back. So especially in the morning, back of the legs might be feeling really tight. So bend your knees as much as you want here. Don't worry about your heels touching the floor. Even with a decade of practice, that just might never happen. A lot of this is just based around your anatomy. So try not to judge or compare. We do this because we want to feel really good. And we want to start our days with a little bit of mindful movement and connection. Let's stretch our right leg up as high as it'll go in this three-legged dog. And you're gonna step your foot forward to the top of the mat. You might need to hold onto your ankle in order to step it through, and let your back knee come down to the floor. So knees over the top of your foot. Push as you lift on up, Anjaneyasana, your low lunge. Careful not to sink into our lower back here. Tailbone down, draw the belly in, stretch up long. Maybe looking up to challenge your balance a little bit here. And let's bring our fingertips down to the floor. You're going to tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee off the floor, and spin your back heel so it's parallel to the shorter edge of your mat. Your front heel should be aligned with the middle of your back foot. Virabhadrasana 2, your warrior 2, you really need to push in order to lift yourself up here. Palms facing down. Shoulders over your hips. One more full breath in this pose. And just bring your hands to your heart, and we're going to step to the top of the mat. Finding your mountain pose, bring your feet hip width distance apart. Shine the palms forward. Really anchor in here. Find your balance and that inner stillness. We'll take a little flow. Inhale, arms stretch up overhead. Fold forward and down. Exhale. You can bend your knees here if you'd like. Halfway lift. Bring your fingertips to your shins. Spine is parallel to the floor. Exhale. Bend the knees, plant your palms, and step your feet back. Hold in your plank here. You can do your plank pose with your knees on the floor or lift it up. Whichever one you prefer. We're just going to take 3 breaths here. You got this. So whichever one you're doing, think of shrugging your shoulders away from your ears, pulling the lower belly in. And now let's all have our knees to the mat. We'll lower down, elbows in all the way. Bhujangasana, your cobra pose. Point your toes back, push into your hands, lift on up. Keep those elbows hugging in. Exhale, release. Find child's pose, balasana, big toes together, heels apart, forehead down to the earth. Take 3 breaths here in the pose. What is your intention for the day ahead? Maybe just choosing one word. Let's find our downward dog again, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So keep your hands reaching forward, shoulder width distance apart. Hips go up and back. This time, stretch your left leg up to the sky, and we're going to step it forward in between our palms to the top of the mat. You want your feet to be hip width distance apart. Right knee comes down to the floor. Anjaneyasana, your low lunge. So we're lifting up. Only looking up if this is okay for your neck. This is a great pose if you're going to be sitting a lot today. Bring your fingertips down to the floor. Tuck the back toes under, lift your right knee off the mat, and bring your right foot so it's flat and parallel to the shorter edge of your mat. Virabhadrasana 2, push into the feet in order to lift up a little bit taller. Keep bending generously into that front knee. Hands at your heart. We're just going to step to the top of the mat into our mountain pose. Hands by your sides. Close your eyes. Find that internal point of focus. Connecting to your breath. And we'll take a little sun salutation, a vinyasa. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold forward all the way down. Halfway lift, inhale, flat back. Exhale, step back. We're going to hold a plank pose for 3 breaths again. So choose knees lifted or knees down. Lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. Draw your lower belly in. Imagine you're hugging a beach ball, squeezing through your upper arms. And lower down all the way. Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Open and expand through your heart. Exhale, release. And rather than pressing back to a child's pose, we're just going to come to take a seat. And I'm going to turn to face over towards you guys. So bring your right leg out to the side and left foot in. So this is very similar to what we did at the beginning, but when we first did this, we had our hips squared and we were facing directly towards that right leg. This time I want you to open up as much as you can. So it's more of a straddle. And we'll just take a side bend first. So keep your legs as they are. You can slide your right hand down your right leg, reach your left arm up, and go all the way over. And I like to let my head be heavy so the neck can relax here. One more breath here in the pose. And come all the way up. Another similar variation of baby wild thing. Plant that left hand down. Swing your right arm up and over. Press and lift your hips up. So this one might feel a little bit different than the first variation just because of the angle of our hips and our legs. Big breath in here. And release your hips down to the floor. Now go ahead and face over towards that right leg and you can fold on down. And let's come on up. Bring that leg in and we'll switch sides. So open up as wide as you can. This time your right heel is coming in, left leg is stretching open and out. Try to keep your knee and your toes pointing up to the sky. Find a side bend first. So I'm not rolling down. I'm really trying to roll my right shoulder back. So I get a big stretch along the side of the body and all the way down my left leg. And if you see me looking down on the deck, it's because I saw a spider and I'm trying to stay calm. It's okay. Nothing wrong with nature. I'm sure it's more scared of me than I am of it. Just some of the joys of practicing outside. Take another big breath here. Really let your head be heavy. And we'll come all the way up. You're going to bring your right hand back behind you. Same thing. Left arm swings up and over. Lift your hips up as high as they'll go. And bringing your hips back down, head to knee pose. This time let yourself fold forward and down. There it is again. I'm keeping my eye on it. It's keeping its distance, so it'll be okay. And just get a little heavier in this forward fold. Coming all the way back up. And let's find Shavasana, our final resting pose. If you'd like to skip this because you're worried you'll fall asleep, you can just do a seated meditation instead. We'll end up joining you there. But otherwise, it might feel good just to take a few moments. You might even want to pull your knees in towards your belly. And then for Shavasana, we're just expanding, stretching our legs and our arms, closing your eyes, and using this as an opportunity to really process and integrate the work that you've done. Noticing physically what feels different, but also paying attention mentally and emotionally, what has shifted. And taking a few moments to honor this together. And deepen your breath. Let's reawaken and stretch it all out. And let's all come to a seated meditation pose. You can roll to one side and lift on up. There's lots of birds in the trees. Don't know if you can hear that. Relax your shoulders away from your ears and bring your hands to your heart. Choose your one-word intention for the day. And we'll anchor this together by chanting Om one time. Inhale to chant, big breath in. Om. Namaste. Thank you so very much for joining me in this beginner morning yoga practice and joining me here in my backyard. I hope you enjoyed this class and that you feel really ready for the day ahead. If you'd like to stay a little longer, you could do this 5-minute meditation that you see right here. And before you go, please do subscribe and leave me a comment. I would love to know what your intention is today. Thank you so much, and maybe I'll see you again tomorrow morning for more morning yoga.